Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Good evening, wherever you are, wherever you're listening in from. Please interact with me on the comment section. Let me know where you're listening in from, and you can begin to send your questions as soon as possible. I already have some questions which I plan on answering on this live session. It's going to be just for 1 hour, so please make sure that you have sent your comment, sent your question ahead of time so that I can answer the question. So please interact with me as soon as possible, as soon as now. And I have quite a number of resources that I have posted on this Facebook group. So please ensure that you can use the search function of this group so that you can get any answers that might have already been posted on this group. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Please let me know where you're listening in from, any questions you might be having. My name is Nduta Wambura. I am the Erasmus Mundus Kenya country representative, and I am happy to hold this session to you today because this was actually requested by some of you who have been trying to understand Erasmus as early as now. So I'm happy to answer all the questions that you might have on a live video exclusively on this group. This is not being broadcast anywhere else. And so I just want to spend some bit of time with you on your evening and answer your questions. So thank you so much for joining in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Once again, I'll not be able to see your name unless you let StreamYard show your name. So if you do, I am using a StreamYard live function. So please, if you want me to see your name and so I can address your question or comment, please allow StreamYard to access your name and profile on Facebook. So I do hope that we will have a good session. Once again, this platform, the Erasmus Mundus Kenya chapter platform, is a resource that we use so that we can be able to get more students, more prospective students to actually apply for Erasmus and be able to come into Europe and study their masters fully funded. So I will get started already because I have quite a number of questions that I have in my inbox and on my social media handles, really. So I will just get started. Like I said, my name is Nduta Wambura. I am happy to be with you today. And first of all, people who might be joining in here and are very new, have never heard about Erasmus and are wondering, so who is Erasmus? What is Erasmus? Why are we talking about Erasmus? Now, Erasmus Mundus is Erasmus Plus, which is the umbrella, is one of the largest scholarship networks in Europe. And it has quite a number of funding that occurs within the Erasmus Plus umbrella, and one of them is definitely Erasmus Mundus. And Erasmus Mundus usually, supports joint masters. So you'll hear me talking about Erasmus Mundus joint masters programs. So the acronym is EMJM, for which, you are able to actually come into Europe to study your masters on a fully funded program. And what happens is that Erasmus Mundus joint masters programs are run by a conglomerate of countries. So which means that a few countries, a few member states, European member states, come together. They agree that, hey, you know what? We will go ahead and make sure that a certain program happens, a certain master's program happens, and students will come in, they will apply, we will have the coordinating institution, and they will apply and they will get to study in university A, B, C, D, E. And usually you will find that most of the programs will have a mobility of at least, to the very least, 2 countries. So which means that you get to study to at least 2 European countries. To the most, it could be 4. Nowadays, we have even more because we have now an expansion of things to do with internship in countries in Africa, internships which will be happening pretty much across the globe. We will be having more partners on the Erasmus, coming on the Erasmus Mundus joint masters programs. So be on the lookout for that. So in other words, Erasmus Mundus joint masters programs are one of the largest programs in Europe that you can actually get yourself into. And the beauty of it is that at least you get to travel around, because you'll get to travel into the different countries for which you will conduct your study. And for example, if maybe you want to go and study a master's in African Studies, European Masters in African Studies, which is one of the masters that we've talked about on this platform. So, for example, you would get to go to your first semester would be in Portugal, and then you go to Germany, and then you go to France, and then on the fourth semester, you choose which country you would go to. And in the middle of it, before the fourth semester, you're able to go and do an internship. I've seen some of the alumni do internships in Kenya, others in Nigeria, others in South Africa, really depending on you. So that is just an example to show you how the structure of Erasmus usually is. So the master's programs are usually for 2 years. And I want you to get that very clearly, because I've had quite a number of questions asking about how long is the program? Can I even study online? So the program is for 2 years. So 2 years beginning every year, September, all the way, to the September of after 2 years. So which means, for example, those who are coming in to study this year, starting September of this year, will complete their studies in 2024, around July, they're about just before the summer holidays. So this is something that happens every single year. So it's not that you will hear about Erasmus this year and then it will close up. No, Erasmus has been running since 1987. So, I mean, it's been a long journey. And the reason as to why we are doing this outreach is to make sure that we can have more Kenyans applying for these master's programs. So now, one other thing that I always get asked about is that when is the application period? When can we apply for Erasmus? Which is usually a quite obvious question, but I will definitely answer it. So the thing is, usually when you go to the Erasmus Mundus catalog, which is something that I will do a quick simulation on this video, when you go to the Erasmus Mundus catalog, usually you will find quite a number of programs right there. And each of the program that you will find on the catalog has their own deadlines. So which means that as much as you will hear that, Erasmus only opens for applications from September all the way to March, this is very dependent on a program. So, for example, the Erasmus Masters in African Studies could open for applications sometime in November and close by maybe January. Another Masters, for example, Masters in Immigration could open maybe in September and close the application in December. Others open in December, closing in February, and others open in October, closing in January, February, March. Really very dependent. So what you can do as an individual listening to this at this very early juncture, because we are in July and you have July and August, which are two very good months where you can be able to prepare ahead of time for all the documents that you really do need to apply for a certain master's program that you have cited on that catalog that you would like to do. So the deadline is really dependent on the program you choose. So once you click on any one of the links for any one of the programs, what you need to do is to check 1, the eligibility criteria, 2, the deadline, the timetable. Really, they usually post the timetable of the application period. So which means that they'll tell you that, hey, we will open our application from a certain date and we will close it at another certain date. So these are things that you have to keep in mind. And the reason why I'm doing this now is because you need the time to check through the catalog and be able to see and cite which of the programs that you would prefer to do ahead of time, such that come September or October or November, depending on your program, when they open for applications, you're not just rushing to the very, very last minute, wondering what to do, wondering whether you can be able to write your statement of purpose on time, wondering whether you can be able to find somebody who can check through your CV, whether it's in the correct format, and so on and so forth. This is the very reason as to why I'm doing this right now. And if you're listening to this, and you really do not have a passport in the first place, this is one of the things that I would encourage you to do first. So if you do not have a passport, please go ahead and apply for it. I mean, you can go on the eCitizen platform and be able to just click through, pay for it, and go do your biometrics and get that passport done ahead before you even think about applying. Because I see quite a number of people on this Facebook group always asking, hey, you know what, my passport has been delayed, I don't know what to do, I was waiting for it at the very last minute, etc. And I am like, you know what, do it ahead of time. And if you really do not hit the deadline, you can always apply in the following year, because with Erasmus, we do not have any age limit. Unlike other programs, you can do your Erasmus, it doesn't matter what age you are, honestly speaking. And in fact, we have a fun fact where the oldest Erasmus student was actually, I think, 87 years old and graduated. So why not you? Why not you? So do not shoot your foot before you can even shoot your shot. I always like to say shoot your shot, but don't shoot your foot before you can shoot your shot. So one of the things that you really, really, really do need to take care of before everything else is your passport. And then two, as you take care of your passport, go through the catalog and be able to see which program is it that you really, really do want to do. And again, now we have a new Erasmus structure that does not restrict you to apply for only 3 programs, because before you could only apply for 3 programs. Now you can apply for more, but that does not mean that, that you go ahead and apply, go on a frenzy and apply for 10 programs or 11 programs and so on and so forth. What you need to be very careful about is the eligibility criteria and whether your experience meets that eligibility criteria or not. Because, for example, you might have an engineering background and maybe you went into business and have been doing a lot of things in the business world. So which means that you have the experience plus the background of engineering. So you go to the catalog and you're able to identify maybe 5 programs that you actually qualify for. So make sure that you read the eligibility criteria for all those 5 programs such that you can write on the statement of purpose the experience and justify the reason as to why you're a good candidate for this particular program. Remember, these programs are actually very competitive because, again, like any other program you'll find out there, whether it's in the US, Australia, or wherever it is, scholarships are competitive. This is somebody who is going to be paying for your fee, going to be paying for your tuition, your insurance, going to even be giving you a stipend. So, which means that you have to put your best foot forward. So if you find that you have at least 5 programs that you qualify for, what I can recommend is to check the eligibility criteria. Once you check the eligibility criteria, do you meet all the requirements that that program has asked for? If yes, then please do not copy paste the same statement of purpose to all the 5 programs. Make sure that your statement of purpose is reverberating to the eligibility requirements that have been stipulated right there. So I do hope that this is very clear, because this is a very reason why I'm doing this right now, because I've had quite a number of questions, and you can imagine my DMs, they go crazy with the same questions over and over and over again. So I want you to understand that it is very important to take your time to read through the catalog such that you're able to identify which program is the best for you and then go ahead and apply for it. Now, the other thing that obviously has changed with the new Erasmus structure is, the fact that we will have, a different stipend structure, or rather different funding structure. And this means that from the next cohort, the new programs especially, we will have a flat rate of 1,400 euros stipend money. And this is a shift from the previous structure where we used to have 1,000 euros stipend, and then you would get travel and installation fees, which would equate to about 4,000, so 3,000 and 1,000. Per year. So eventually you would get quite the amount right there, because it would be 1,000 times 24 months, which is 24,000. Plus now you would get the 6,000, yes, 6,000 in travel and installation. So that brings it to 30,000. And, sometimes obviously they would cater for, some programs would cater for your flight ticket, so they would buy the flight ticket for you. But this is going to change, and we will have a flat rate of 1,400 euro stipend money. However, this is for the new contracts for Erasmus. So be on the lookout, especially for the new programs, because this is something that will change. However, this is just a very small part of what to expect with Erasmus. So I will go right into the questions. And I think one of the things that you really, really, really do need to do is to go on the Erasmus Mundus catalog. And I have sung this enough times. And every single time someone asks me, so how do I begin? I always tell you, hey, here's a link. Go look into that link, then ask me a question. Then I don't know what happens in the middle of it. And then people are just asking the same questions over and over and over and over and over again. And so because I am tired of these questions, I will go ahead and share my screen, because I want to just show you how to go about. And if you can see my screen, then please let me know. And so the thing is, once I tell you to come to the Erasmus Mundus catalog, this is what I mean. So this is how the catalog looks like. And I can attest to the fact that, yes, it might not be very user-friendly. True, I agree with you. And when you check here, we have 163 programs that are available for application. And all of these programs are in different fields. So the one of the things that you can actually do is to filter through into this catalog. So you can filter through, and you can use things to do with, for example, field of study. So you can see here, like, we have different fields of study. We have chemistry, we have economic sciences, environmental and geosciences, information science, law, life sciences, etc., etc. So some of you actually usually come and ask me, say, hey, Duta, I have come to the catalog. I cannot see anything that I actually can study. So the other flip thing that I would like to tell you is to go ahead and go through all of these programs. Just scroll down the same way you scroll on your phone, sometimes aimlessly. This is going to be a good scroll for you. So you can come here and scroll through and see which program sounds like something that you're even interested in, or something that you have some sort of experience in. It can be experience through volunteer, or your work, or some projects that you have been doing, for example. So this is something that you can come here and do. So for example, you come in here and you're like, let's say, for example, you are a cyber security person and you're like, oh, I want cyber security. So if you come here and just type cyber security, sometimes it might not show up, but let's see. So if you come and check cyber security, okay, only one program shows up, but there are more programs that do have cybersecurity. We are going to check this one. but we will also open more. So we are going to remove that keyword. And what we will do is we will go now one by one and see anything that is cyber, whether we have any other cybersecurity. I'll just go until the second or third page. I will not go so far because this is something that you ought to do yourself. So we have here Erasmus Mundus Joint Master in Cybersecurity. I think that was what we opened. Oh, we have another one here, Cyber Joint Master in Cyberspace. Could be something that could potentially be a good program for you. Perhaps, yes, you're in cybersecurity, but we have something to do with engineering of data-intensive intelligent software systems. Perhaps this is something that could interest you. You keep going and, okay. So these are some of the programs that perhaps you might, you'll be like, hey, this looks interesting. This looks interesting. So one of the things that I would want you to put attention to is when you come here and you check this, you see, for example, this Erasmus Mundus Joint Master in Cybersecurity, there is the main link, which we will open. That's the main link. And I'm just going to open the main link just now. Okay. All right, so we have this link right here, and this gives you an overview of the program itself and the universities that are participating. But this is not where you apply for that program. Where do you apply for the program? You apply for the program on the link that is right below it. So this link is what you actually click on, and here we go. So it brings you into where the program link, and like you can see here, applications for 2022 are now closed, which is something that they tell you. All the information that you need is on every program website. So one of the things you come on here, for example, maybe you're curious about this and you'll be like, oh, let's see what's the program about. So you come over and read and see the program overview. For instance, you'll come and see that, the Cyberas, or rather all Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters programs, you'll find they will have an acronym. So for this one is Cyberas. I don't want to say that wrong, but I do believe it's something to do with cybersecurity. And you see that it is a highly integrated 2-year full-time master program taught in English. And then you will see the study plan. Like I said, you would be able to see where you will go for each of the semesters. So we have 4 semesters here. So semester 1, that covers 6 modules, you would be able to study in France and in Tallinn in Estonia. Semester 2, you would study in France, and semester 3, you would go to Brussels. Track 1 and track 2 would go to Luxembourg, and then semester 4 would be at an approved institution. You will find that most of them will say semester 4 is at whichever the institution, because you will need to choose which institution you might want to do your thesis. So this is very, very important. And you can see that there would also be an included 5-month internship. So this is another thing that you need to actually just go through it, digest the information, and see whether this is something that you want to do. Of course, there will be the curriculum of what exactly would be studied, but I want you to pay attention into the application, which is the requirements section. Very, very, very important. So the eligibility criteria, or rather the requirements section, for instance, this one says a nationally recognized bachelor's degree or a master's degree with a major in computer science or computer engineering. And you also have, alternatively, an alternative of exceptional 5 years experience, corresponding to at least 100 ECTs, 180 ECTs, proficiency in English measured by international tests, for example, Cambridge, IELTS, TOEFL, and so on and so forth. So the requirements are stipulated very, very clearly right there. And you can also be able to see the selection process and schedule for this program. So look, here it says that usually the call for applications will be open. They were actually open for until Sunday, 24th April. They extended their call for application, and they would be able to tell you when the results might be. And one other thing that you want to check is perhaps their social media handle. It can be any one of them that you prefer. It can be Facebook, can be Twitter, can be on LinkedIn, whichever you really, really, really prefer. So this is one other thing that you need to be very, very careful about. Now, after that, then you can be able to browse through and check all the other, information that is on every one of these websites. And I know you guys obviously have some bit of questions. So I want to keep going before we can start any question that is live. And I hope you guys can hear me clearly. I will share once again, just for you to be able to see the other requirements. Let's see. I'm just going to add this once here. And let's see. So this is another program that you might want to do if you're looking for cybersecurity. So if you check this is a plan B, and you can apply for this. So in this one, you will have semester 1 in University of Lusofona. Then you go to Barcelona. Lusofona is in Portugal. Semester 3, you go to University in Paris. Semester 4, you will do an internship across the globe. And this information, once again, is stipulated on this. And you will see the application process. And let me just go back to the menu because I want the selection process as well as the, let's see, course curriculum is right there. So here, the selection process, it says to be enrolled in this master's, you will go through a challenging selection process, and they tell you from when the application begins, and then they tell you the documents to submit online. So as you can see here, we have academic certificates, we have CVs, and we have proof of proficiency in English, and so on and so forth. So all the information is not found, and I want to make this very, very clear because we've had questions and people asking and asking and asking. The application is not on this first blue link. It's on the link right below it. And you might come here and find that some of the links that are below the main blue link might not be very active. So which means that for the new masters, especially for the new masters programs, some of them, their websites take long to be approved and to be recommended. And you might wanna wonder, why is this not happening? What you can do in that case is to pretty much just copy the name of that master's program and then search for it on Google. And once you search for it on Google, it should bring you right into, perhaps, for example, this one is gonna bring us right into the program. So this is something that you can do if you find that these links that are below the main blue links are not active. So that's another thing that I really wanted to make clear today, because again, we've been back and forth with people here wondering what is going on and whether it makes sense or not. So this is something that you can do. So you can go through this catalog. Like I said, there are only 9 pages. Usually scroll more on Instagram or even on Facebook, liking people's pictures, and commenting and being all over the place. So why not say that, you know what, this weekend or the next week, I will go through this catalog one by one. I'll give it my all. I will give it my best. And I will check for which masters that I actually qualify for. And the other thing that I wanted to highlight as well is that the fact that you did a certain degree, perhaps you did a business degree, and then you ended up in the IT field and you're able to actually maybe do things in the IT world, you can justify on your statement of purpose that, hey, you know what, as much as my background, my bachelor's degree was in business, I have had this experience in the IT world that sets me apart as a good candidate for your program. So experience really, really matters. And what you put on your statement of purpose, or rather what is motivating you to do this master's, is something that Erasmus consortiums always look for. So be on the lookout for that as well, because some people always ask, you know what, I don't think I qualify for this, but perhaps if you have that experience, you can put it on paper and follow the rules to the letter, making sure that your statement of purpose is not going beyond the number of words that have been requested for. You know, you have written your CV the correct way. Perhaps you can use the Europass format. It's not a must to use the Europass format. However, it is recommended. And Europass format is something that is actually free. You don't have to pay for anything. This whole process, you really do not have to pay for anything to make your application. Is 100% absolutely free. What you need to do is obviously shoot your shot in all of these programs, and you can be able to go ahead and make your application ahead of time. Now, I want to go right into another question that was asked, and this was about the language and whether, you know, which is the best language to go for. So this is for the English language test. And some of you have always asked me, so do I need to go and do IELTS? And in fact, one person repeated the same question just the other day. Yes. So now, one of the things that you can do is to ask for a waiver. If a program is asking for an English test, you can write to the consortium. Believe me, they will reply to you. You can write to a consortium and ask them, hey, would you be in a position to provide for me a waiver? And I can provide a letter from my university, Kenyatta University, University of Nairobi, JKUAT, etc., saying that I studied my degree in English. If they say yes, then you do not necessarily have to do an English test. If they say no, then the best test that is recommended is the IELTS test, which you can use for study and work, and you can be able to actually book this ahead of time. Again, I know this is a bit of a cost, but this is an investment for which you can use even for future applications. So that's another reason why I'm doing this now, so that you can be able to go ahead and prepare. If you need an English test, if your course has said that, hey, we cannot provide that waiver, we need that English test, then you have the time to book that English test and do it and be ready for it. When September comes, then you can be able to go ahead and apply for it, and not wallowing and wondering, hey, when can I do this test? Am I still eligible? And all these kind of things that we ask ourselves. I think one of the things that I can do and tell you is to be ready to do the work, because I did the work personally. I'm an Erasmus Mundus grant holder. I did my Erasmus back in the day, and I had to actually apply twice. I did not get it the first time. So I had to do the work, do the statement of purpose once again, do the CV in Europass format, you know, write things that are convincing in a way that I stood out as a candidate for Erasmus. So you have to do the work. You have to be ready to do the work, honestly speaking. So now the other question that some people would ask is, have always asked, is about the application procedure and how the selection process takes place, because some people are very skeptical about who is taken in and who is not, and why we have low numbers in Kenya as compared to other countries, our sisters in Nigeria. You always perhaps maybe have followed quite a number of people from Nigeria on the Facebook group, Facebook page. I think they have a Facebook page, not a group, or even on YouTube. And you keep asking me, so why are we not getting the higher numbers like the Nigerians are? One, you ought to be aware that Nigeria is a way bigger country than Kenya. That's not to justify the reason why we have low numbers, but we also need to be very careful about the details, because we are not as keen as they are about the little nitty gritties of the application procedures. If you check, the Nigerians are very, very vibrant in terms of getting to understand what is required of them, what do they need for this pretty much application. They ask the questions. They are very vigilant in terms of, getting to network with other people who've gone through the program. And like I keep saying, you can find these people on any one of the social media handles that you prefer. It could be the best preferred one, LinkedIn, where you introduce yourself to someone who's gone through the program and tell them that, hey, would you be in a position to check my statement of purpose? Would you be in a position to check my general application and tell me whether it is something that, I can be able to submit? Is it sufficient? etc, etc. It's about time that we as Kenyans also wake up, because sometimes we really want to be given things for free. We want to someone else to actually apply for us instead of us going through the process. So this is something that I cannot tell you enough. I want you guys to set yourselves apart to do the work. And the work that you do would be very, very rewarding. Come next year, a time like this, we will be giving a whole different story. Yeah. So the reason as to why we have lower numbers is because we have lower applicants. That's the simple thing. And of course, there's the fact that this information needs to keep going and going into the relevant people who need to apply for this. But as we keep doing that, we also need you to complete the work. Don't just start an application and then get in the middle of it, you get tired and forget about it, and then you remember, oh, the deadline is tomorrow. Let's try and finish that application. And then you do a shoddy application. And then whom do you have to blame? It's definitely you, right? I am saying this with love, not to bash you or whatever, but I really, really would hope that we can have more people actually finishing the applications, which is very, very important. And we have a mentorship program. We had a mentorship program that ran last year from, I think it was in November, October, thereabout, all the way to December. And do you know what? Some of the people who actually, joined in the mentorship, they were so excited about it, but they never followed up with the mentors. The mentors were like, hey, you know what? I reached out to these people, but none of them got back to me. None of them really wanted my help. I was there to help. I was there to read their statement of purpose. I was there to read their CVs. I was there to check their applications. But again, no one followed that up. So that's to answer your question, because most of you keep on asking, hey, why do we have lower numbers? What is happening? So the selection criteria is very, 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 very good in terms of it's not biased in terms of the country that you come from, honestly speaking. And it goes without saying, if there's no Kenyan application for a certain program, then you will not expect Kenyans to be there. It's as simple as that. So and the thing about the changes that have occurred in the recent past is that EMJEMs or Erasmus Mundus joint masters programs, we will have a different quota system. So which means that before you would hear that some programs would say that, hey, we only want one person from this country, and so on and so forth. So this is going to change because we are going to have a blanket way of assessing these applications, which means that wherever you are from the world, does not matter. As long as you meet the criteria, as long as you meet all the requirements that the consortium is looking for, then you will have a similar chance with everyone else across the globe. So you are competing with everyone else across the globe, which is something that, you have to shoot your shot, really, because again, you have all these opportunities. Now you can apply for more than 3 programs. You can be able to have a chance across the globe without having maybe that quota system, etc, etc. These are things that you have to take advantage of, guys. And I cannot stress that much more than that. Now, there's another thing that I've seen that you guys have been asking, and I think I'm gonna answer that before I can go into the questions and answers. Is about the communication between the consortiums and the people. Thing is, obviously, when you send an email to the consortium will definitely reply to you, but be very patient with them, because sometimes they receive quite a number of requests. You can imagine all the people who are looking to apply for these scholarships. They're asking all the questions and they're wondering, hey, what is going on here? Because, we have so many questions from so many people, and sometimes please give them time to reply to you. And in due time, they will definitely reply to you. And you can ask whatever the question. Please make sure that the email that you're sending is not condescending. Obviously, just don't say hi. I keep on saying this a lot. I've said this on my social media this week. Just don't say hi and leave it at that. Please introduce yourself. What is the issue that you're going through? Is it something that they can answer you? Is it something, first check, is it something that I have answered on this group? If yes, good. Then you're good to go. And if not, then go ahead and ask them directly, So these are things that you can do yourself. Really, you really can do it yourself. You don't have to ask so many questions all the time. Same question over and over and over again. Now, I think I will go right into the questions that you guys have had and all the comments that you guys have had. Before we can even come to almost I guess a conclusion, because I think the questions that I always receive, I receive almost 100 questions per every other 2 weeks or more. Now, I think I can answer them in a blanket way. One is because the information is available on each and every one of the programs. So I do not necessarily have to walk you through where that information is, because it's right there on the website. All you need to do is check. The same way you scroll on Facebook, the same way you scroll on Instagram, the same way you scroll on Twitter, you can find that information. Two, we've already talked about the nitty-gritties of the deadlines and the nitty-gritties of, how to go about the application, and of course, getting your passport. So I will go right into the comments section here. And yes, thank you so much for listening from Lodwa and listening from Accra, Ghana. That's amazing. Welcome to this platform. We have from Kiambu. Yes, valid points being made. Absolutely agree with you. I think I've seen a 75-year-old in the program before. Yes, we've had quite a lot of people joining in. So Erasmus has no age limit. That's another thing. Watching from Nairobi, thank you so much. Can we connect on Twitter? Yes, you can follow me on any one of the social media handles that actually resonates with you. My name is Duta Wambura on all of them, so you can reach out to me. Again, whichever you prefer, I am on every one of them with the same name. I agree, we are not as aggressive as them. Yes, we really do not care about our applications. We are not as aggressive as Nigerians or even other people from Pakistan or India, who really, or even Indonesia, because we have quite a number of people from these places that get the applications done, and they are very thorough with the applications. I am Ghanaian, but follow you religiously. Please take me in for mentorship. I would hope that I can take you in for mentorship. Perhaps when the mentorship program begins, if you're on this group, please be on the lookout. Perhaps you might be lucky, because we do a very random way of mentoring people, because you don't have to have a bias, and be on the lookout for that, because I will reopen it once again this year for you guys to apply for mentorship, especially for Erasmus applications. Meeting you through this live video is an eye-opener. Would kindly request to connect with you for mentorship. Absolutely. Again, please be on the lookout on this group, and I will definitely I'm happy to mentor you. Whichever the case, I give a lot of free information out there. So if you follow me on social media, and you feel like, hey, whatever Nduta you're telling me about Erasmus, that's not for me. I want something different. I always talk about other applications that you can do within the European Union, within the 27 member states. You can go ahead and shoot up your shot even for the other, applications that I talk about. I talk about this a lot especially on the European Union in Kenya pages. So you can be on the lookout for that. Okay, so when you are selected, which country do you apply for a visa from? Very good question. Very, very good question. So the thing is, now, say for example, you are selected for a program that incorporates the first country of entry, perhaps is Spain, the second country would be France, and the third country is Germany, and then the fourth country they will tell you will choose because maybe you will do your thesis depending on which university has a lecturer that can supervise you, because that is very important. So your first point of entry is Spain. So if you are selected, then you get to apply for a visa to enter Spain. So you will be applying for what we call a Schengen visa. And a Schengen visa allows you to travel within Europe. So when you're in Kenya, you've gone through the process and you're so happy you've been selected, etc. Now you've gotten your acceptance letter, you've gotten all the documents that you need to begin your application, because they will send you an insurance, they will send you acceptance letter, and of course you will have to have your passport. Like I said, you cannot do this without a passport. Now you will go ahead and contact the embassy of Spain in Kenya for you to begin your visa application process. And once you begin that visa application process, it should not take you perhaps maybe the most 3 weeks, depending on the backlog, or 4 weeks, depending. And so when you get that visa, it will guarantee you entry into Spain for you to begin your studies in Spain for the first semester. Now, when that visa that you're given, in most cases, you will find that it is maybe valid for 3 months, others will give for 6 months, depending on the embassy and the country and the point of entry. So for example, maybe say you're given that, visa valid for 6 months. And then once the first semester is over, because your semester will begin in September and perhaps end in February, now it will be time for you to move on to the next country. Your next country is France. So before you move on to your next country, you can either use a residence card that you possibly applied for when you got to Spain, or you can apply for a new visa now to go to France, which is much easier. And in most cases, of course, you have to be registered in the different country that you go to. So each of these countries that you go to, you would need to have some sort of registration, identification, depending on the country that you're going to. Some of the countries might just extend your visa on your passport book. So be on the lookout for that. But this is information that is given by the International Office on how to go about it, because different consortiums have different agreements, even with the embassies, okay? But for you to get out of Kenya, your first point of entry, the country of your first point of entry, is where you apply the visa. So that is where you get all your documents, etc. I hope I answered your question. And then moving forward, after the first visa process, after that is pretty much quite straightforward, because you'll be already in Europe, and it will be kind of easier, to go about the process of applying for a visa for the next country, and so on and so forth. A disclaimer as well, we still have some programs that are have the UK, the University, for example, of Glasgow, and some people have been having issues because, the thing is, that is the first point of entry, and getting a UK visa can be a little bit tedious. However, the thing is, you will be in Kenya, perhaps your program, has first semester in Glasgow, second semester in Finland, third semester in Spain, and fourth semester again, it could be anywhere. So, which means that when you're in Kenya, you would need to apply for a UK visa first. And then once you're in the UK, you can now apply for a Schengen visa that allows you entry into Europe. Because as you may know, we have Brexit, and after Brexit, things have changed within the European Union, and so on and so forth. But these are nitty-gritties that once you get there, you would be able to overcome slowly by slowly. And I mean, that is something that I always talk about, even with the current cohort. And it's a very good question that you asked. All right, Emmanuel, listening from Bungoma, this live video has been a really eye-opener. Thank you, and helpful for prospective members. Yes, please, I do hope to see everyone applying. If you're listening to this and you're not applying, I don't know what you're doing here, okay? Or if this information is not for you, please make sure that you can share it with someone else who can benefit from it. It can be your relative. I always keep saying these things on this group. It could be your relative, it could be your friend, it could be somebody you think that would be a very good potential candidate. Share this information with them. All right. Are there application fees? Like I said before, it is 100% going to be free, because moving forward, we will be scrapping Erasmus Joint Masters programs will be scrapping the application fees moving forward. We had a couple of programs within the last application period that were asking for application fees, but this is something that has been discussed and should be scrapped moving forward. Of course, some programs may take some bit of time to scrap it off, but it's never more than 30 euros. We only have like a couple of them. Honestly, every other program, the application process is 100% for free. So be on the lookout for that, because moving forward, there's not gonna be an application fee, and that will be a good thing for everyone who is interested in, especially those two or three programs that were asking for application fees. When is the next application? Like I said, if you listen to this when I began, is the application period really depends on the program of your choice, and the applications generally begin from September all the way stretching to March. Some of them this year stretched all the way to April because of different issues and different funding structures. But be on the lookout for each and every one of the programs for different deadlines. That's very, very crucial. So we cannot say a blanket that is going to be in September all the way to February. Your program may take longer to open for application. So check that out and put it on your calendar. Why not? Put it on your calendar so that you have a reminder every single time, right? If I'm applying for a course in a university in Europe, which is offering free tuition, can I still get the scholarship? So no. The thing is, you cannot separately apply for a course and then come and apply for Erasmus. It doesn't work like that. So what happens is that if you want an Erasmus fully funded scholarship, you have to go through Erasmus and not separately. Like you apply for university on your own and then, come and apply for funding through Erasmus. No, it doesn't work like that. It has to be an Erasmus joint master's program, strictly every other program that is on that catalog. So that is very important to notice. If your university is offering free tuition, what you can do is perhaps ask that institution whether they would have some sort of funding for your daily upkeep. Usually some of the universities in Europe will have some sort of funding on some kitty somewhere that is not maybe Erasmus, is something different, and you can ask for this in your university. Some of the universities, for example, in Germany, have this free tuition, so you can actually do that for yourself. For English exams, how latest should they be? At least according to what I know, would be 2 years. But then again, of course, check with your consortiums, because some of the consortiums will tell you, no, we want 1 year. Others will say 2 years. To the very most of them generally will say just the 2 years. But then again, I say, before you can even do that English test, check whether your consortium can give you a waiver, because that's another thing that is quite important. If they can give you a waiver, then you only need to submit a letter saying that you studied in English. I mean, in Kenya, we study in English. Most of our courses are actually in English. Not most, actually every other course is in English, unless maybe you studied a separate language, and that would be even a plus for you. Maybe you studied French or Spanish or German, etc. These are things that you can add on your statement of purpose or even your CV and say that, hey, I also know this other language, which would be a plus for you. Another question is, when you have a Schengen visa, you don't need to apply in France. With Schengen visa, you can travel free between those countries. Yes, you can travel. I do not refute the fact that you can travel. Yes, you can travel. But if you're going there for your other semester, then you would need to register with the immigration in France. So there's a very, very huge difference. Because look, for example, you came, like we said here, you came to Spain, you got your visa to start to begin your studies in Spain, right? And then you're like, okay, so this first semester is over. I need to go to my second mobility in France, and I will go and stay there for 6 months. I mean, within the period that you got to Spain and you're doing your first semester, you can travel anywhere in Europe, as long as it's a European member state, anywhere within the Schengen area. However, when you go to France and you're going to say, hey, I'm going to study here for the next 6 months, then you would need to be registered with the immigration of France as a student. So that's the other thing that I needed to make clear, because some of maybe France can tell you, hey, we'll just maybe affix a certain visa on your passport or something of the sort, or if maybe, depending on the agreement that they have with the consortium, maybe if you got a residence card from Spain that is valid for 1 year, you could potentially use that same card in France. However, you'd still need to be registered with the immigration in France, honestly. But again, like I said, this is information that is given by the international offices of each and every one of the consortiums, depending on the structure and what they're doing each and every year. These agreements keep on changing. So you have to be on the lookout for that. Okay, listening from Nakuru City. Hello. You know what? I was born in Nakuru, so that's amazing. Welcome to be here. It's very nice for you to join in. Be very careful for UK visa. Only once you can apply. Once negative, forget it. Not really. It really depends on why you were not given a visa the first time. There's always a reason why. But with Erasmus, for sure, I can tell you for a fact, since you have all the documents that are supporting that you're going to do a study, perhaps in the University of Glasgow, or whichever the other university in the UK. Usually, we do not have visa refusals or rejections, as they call them. In fact, the thing that I would want to say here is, obviously, because Erasmus is a European Union funded program, so which means that all embassies usually make it a little bit easier for Erasmus students, because they know that there's this agreement that we have. And I can even ask a few of the alumni to even attest to this. They have it a little bit easier than other applicants who are going to different places. But yes, for the UK, it's going to be a stringent process. However, it can be done. Okay. Now, I went through the catalog earlier today, and I have already picked out the programs that I want to apply to. I cannot wait for the application window to open. Thank you, Rita, for your invaluable tips. Absolutely. That is music to my ears. I would want to see you apply for it and make sure that you can pick out all these programs and apply for them to your very, very, very best, and hope to see you do this come September, or whichever the time that your applications will open. So am I right to believe that 2023's start of school will be in September? I hope I understand your question. To believe that 2023's start of school will be in September. So what happens is, the thing is, so look, those people who applied for their programs from last year, September, all the way to February or March or April this year, will start their studies in September of this year. Some will start 1st September, others 19th September, others towards the end of the month of September. And they will study their first semester. Usually it begins September all the way to February, March there. Then they change to the second semester and then the third semester. And then they will finish their studies, their 2-year period in 2024, around July or thereabouts, just before summer season. So this is something that happens every single year. So 2023 start of school will be in September? Absolutely, because if you apply for your program this year, when they open, then you are potentially, if you're successful, you will begin your studies next year, 2023, and finish in 2025, July or thereabout. And this happens every single year. It's not like this is the only time that this is going to happen. It happens every single year. I went through the same process. I went through the same drill as everyone else. So it goes without saying that has to happen that way. That's the structure of Erasmus anyways. Hello, would like to request if you can connect us with in your other social networks so we can share more. I mean, like I said, my social media handles are open. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. My name is Ndutawambura on all of those. So if you want to send me a DM or whatever it is, please send on any one of those. I will get them. I will get to them when I get to them, because sometimes there are so many of them and I am like, I don't think I can do all this at the same time. So I usually reply. I try to reply to especially those messages which are very concrete. So if you're just saying hi, don't expect an answer from me. I'm sorry, but if you're asking a question that is valid, a question that is actually concrete, then I will definitely answer you for sure, 100%. In fact, some of you can attest to this. Now, how many Kenyan students are taken every year for the study? Now, this is I think you're joining us just now. We have very few numbers because we have very few applicants. Last year, we had about 10, 11 people. This year, we have a little bit more. We will be announcing the numbers that we have this year very soon on this Facebook group. So be on the lookout for that. It should happen just before September. Between now and September, I will not say the date because, again, we have what we call GDPR. I cannot quite tell you exactly who, but I will do that. In due time, you will see it on the social media. We will definitely celebrate them, and that is something that is going to happen. There are statistics that I have put on this group about the Kenyan students who have been there for the previous at least 5 years or so. Not so many numbers. Again, that's the reason why we're doing this, because we need more people to join. Okay. All right. Hint as contents that can increase chance of securing the scholarship. I mean, I keep hinting all these kind of things. One has to be your statement of purpose. That is one of the core things that you really, really have to take care of, because your statement of purpose is what makes or break your application. So really, like, you have to take your time to write, because not everything that is about you is relevant on that statement of purpose. So your statement of purpose encapsulates who you are. Do not put things like, oh, since I was a small child, we were always poor and all these kind of things. That's why I want this scholarship. No, give yourself a time to even write down somewhere separately. Who are you? What are you? What's your background? What have you been doing? What are your experiences? Which are the experiences that are relevant to this program? Because not everything is relevant, honestly. Yeah. So take your time to really, really understand. And I have done a video about this. Honestly, maybe you can check on my YouTube about personal statements. This is something that I talk a lot about. So it is something that I cannot even cover within this session. I'm just giving you some little nitty-gritties, because the way you introduce yourself, the first paragraph is an eye-catch phrase. It can make or break you once again. So, you want to catch the reader's eye, because this is someone who has never met you. You're trying to introduce yourself to them. So these are things that you have to follow through. One, what the consortium has asked as the requirements. Two, also, do not overwrite things that are not necessarily relevant to that program. And then again, follow the rules. If it's 500 words, it's 500 words. If 700 words, it's 700 words, not 1,000 or 1,200 or 2,000. You have to make sure that you follow the requirements to the letter. I cannot stress that enough. Perhaps we can talk about this much later. I've talked about it already on my YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube, there are several resources that you can actually use for this same purpose. So when you're done with school, does the program require that you immediately return back to your home country, or you can hang around for some time? Yes, you can hang around for some time. Personally, I came back after finishing, and I have been living here for quite a long time now. Some of you may know my story already. So yes, you can hang around, find a job, because another thing that you can write on your personal statement is that you would like to work in Europe, and that's okay. They will not deny you a scholarship because you say that you want to work in Europe, because you have to also show your future plans. And that would be one of your future plans, to maybe benchmark and understand how Europe workforce is like, the culture and how, certain companies work around. So yes, you can hang around. There's no such rule that you have to return back to Kenya immediately. Well, let me see. Which is the minimum university grade for one to be able to apply? GPA, second class upper, or first class? Really, it can be anything. It can be second class upper, second class lower. It can be first class. Usually, what really matters, once again, like I said, is the experience that you have. And of course, some programs will give priority to first class honors. And they will stipulate this. They will tell you on the requirements that we would perhaps prefer someone who has a first class. That is something that some of the programs might say. So again, you do not have to shoot your foot before you shoot your shot. So you can apply if you have a second class and maybe you had some sort of experience. You have a second class upper or a second class lower. It doesn't matter. You can do either one of those and apply for it as as needed. So you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, so let's see whether we have any other questions. I think I've covered all the bases, and I think I'm already at the top of the hour, because I wanted to do this for at least an hour 15 minutes, because I know there's a lot we can talk about Erasmus all day here. And I just wanted to give an overview, especially to those who are new to this group, and to tell you that there is a lot of resources on this group, and you can check using the search function. I always post links to other alumni. I interview alumni who've gone through the same program, who can even be able to motivate you from Kenya, can be Nigeria, from pretty much everywhere. We have lots and lots of information for you to consume. What to do with that information is up to you, honestly, but I would hope that you use it to your own advantage, and you are able to go ahead and apply for whatever the application that you find is best fit for you and your future plans and a future career, future visions and all these kind of things. Whatever you dreamt about before, I would hope to see everyone actually apply for it. So once again, I'm always available to interact with you on the comment section. So please make sure that you go ahead and interact with me, or whatever it is. Send me a DM, or if you're just into commenting, then okay, good. And I think I'll leave it at that, because I think this should be good enough video to get you started, for you to start your preparing for your application, for you to go ahead and check the catalog, and see how things go, because I know things will go well. I am confident that things will go well. So I would leave it at that. If you have any other question, this video is going to remain on Facebook. It's going to be on this group, so you can always send your question much later right there. And once again, it's been amazing. Wherever you are, have a good weekend, and I hope to see you apply. And good morning, good afternoon if you're listening to this much later. Feel free to go ahead and ask the questions, ask the right questions at the right time. Get your passport. If you have not gotten your passport, please get your passport. And I'll leave it at that. Have a good one, guys. Bye.